Self-muted. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing out there tonight? Welcome to Bravo with Sheila. It's Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. How's everybody doing this evening? It's been a minute and I've missed y'all, so thank you for being patient with me. Hey, Nay, our favorite Bravette. How you doing on tonight? I want to thank you for popping on and for being patient. We've had some technical difficulties, but we pressing on anyway. Hey, and I'm trying to make it do what it do. Trying to come, fall is coming, so I'm trying to spruce it up a little bit, just a little bit. But I'm so glad you're here on tonight. Our number one Bravette. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have missed y'all, and I'm so glad to be back on tonight. And on tonight, it is our Thursday night ladies' room segment. I hope y'all are excited and looking forward to it. I am. I know I definitely am. So I'm going to ask you like, subscribe, share, tag some people. However you got to do it, just do it. Let's have a good conversation. Going to tell the men to come on and lean in, listen to the ladies chat a little bit. But tonight is going to be for my girls. We had I had, the Bravo squad. We pretty much kind of been all over the place, traveling, doing some vacationing and whatnot. Everybody's still trying to bring it back in, um, and so everybody's all over the place. But we're here, and we're glad to be here on tonight. As always, we pay honor and homage to our queen of Bravo with Sheila, none other than the Queen of Bravo herself, Pastor Sheila Ingram. All hail, we give her a big bravo and thank you for allowing us this space on Thursday nights just to come on and chat for a while with my ladies. And gentlemen, you are welcome too, and we're grateful that you're here. So, on tonight in the ladies' room, we're gonna have a little bit of a different kind of a conversation. My girls, like I said, were scheduled to come on, but everybody's still kind of everywhere. But yet, the show must go on. So here we are. So on tonight, we're still gonna talk and focus in on our ladies. But I have a very special guest, a very special lady, whom is just amazing in every sense of the word. I love her dearly. She is joining me on tonight, and she is in the person of my mom. You know her, you love her, you see her. She has her own segment over on the across the street on the Sheila Ingram Ministries channel. She is no stranger here. She is none other than my mama, Pastor Rosa. So let's give her some bravo love as I bring her up onto the platform on tonight. Hi, Mom. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, we're in the same space, so we gonna be clicking mute and unmute for a little bit, but we gonna get it going. All right. So, Mama, come on off your mic and greet the people on tonight. Say hello.
Good evening, everyone. So glad to be here. I hope we looking forward to this impromptu, and it's going to be informative for all of us, but we're looking to have a good time.
That's right. We definitely are. Here we just want to have real conversation with real resolutions. When we finish sitting here, we don't want to just talk for no reason. Sometimes it's good to air stuff and get things off of your chest, but we want to make sure that we are having, creating a safe space for people to come and share exactly how you feel. No holds barred. It's a no judgment zone. We are not here to convict nor to convince. We are just here to have real conversation with real resolutions. So at the end of this night, we hope that something that's going to be said and shared is going to be something to edify, to build you up, and maybe add another brick onto the layer of your foundation, because we want to do what we want to improve relationships all around. And the most important relationship that we can improve is the one that we have with ourselves, right? So when we have a good relationship with us, we're able to have a better relationship with other people outside. So that's what we hope to do tonight. So on tonight, because I was going to have a different conversation, but everything happens for a reason. So we're going to flow with this conversation on tonight. And I asked my mom to come on to join me because what I want to talk about in the ladies' room on tonight, um, Sometimes we got to dial it back and slow it down just a little bit. But what I want to talk about on tonight is mother-daughter relationships. Am I my mother? Am I turning into my mother? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What kind of thing is that? Because, you know, we love our parents, and later on, if we're blessed, we become parents. But I find that there's a lot of things that are very challenging. We as women, I believe there's a saying that says, and don't quote me because I can't get it 100% right. I don't know who wrote it, but I heard it. I've heard the saying that there can't be two queens in the castle. There can only be one queen. Anytime there's two women in the same house, it's usually some type of some type of controversy, conflict, or issue that arises. And we want to be able to peel that apart, to kind of pull it back a little bit. And let's just talk about the relationship that we have with our mothers. Ladies, I thought of the Ruth Naomi, in the Bible, and we don't have to keep it biblical, but I'm just saying this is what came to my mind. I'm a preacher, so the word is what I kind of, I glean off of. But even beyond that, there's some real things that happen in relationships. I'm grateful that me and my mom have a very good relationship. We have built and cultivated um, a safe space where we can be honest with each other. But even in our honesty, I know that we are not always, we may be like 99.9% honest with each other. And that point one that's dangling, that's still kind of in the wind, is only because we don't want to hurt each other's feelings, and we can both be sensitive about different situations. So I also have an older sister, and her relationship with my mom is different from my relationship with my mom, but yet it's still a very amazing relationship. It's filled of love and respect. It is filled with honor. And at the same time, we always don't get along. So we're not going to pretend that it's peachy keen and all, cotton candy and a walk in the park, because it's not. Sometimes we're upset with each other. Sometimes we get angry with each other. Sometimes we're frustrated with each other. But how do we maintain our relationships with our mothers in a healthy and productive way? And not only that, but later on, now me being a mom, I have a 21-year-old son. There's some things that my mother would say and do that I didn't like and I don't agree with. But believe it or not, sometimes I find myself saying the very same things that she once said to me that were frustrating, that I didn't like, that I didn't want to hear. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my mother just came out of my mouth, So um, it's a cycle that we are always repeating. And I want my mom to jump in here and to share, because what I'm going to segue into with her is, unlike me, she didn't have the benefit of having her mom in her life. Her mother passed. She shared in a book, Letters to Our Moms, which she'll, speak on her own. Matter of fact, I'm just going to let her tell her story. So I'm going to mute my mic. Mom, come on and tell us how you feel about the mother-daughter relationship, the importance of it, and what it's like for you not having had that. Is it strange? Is it odd? Was there some natural nuances? Come and share. Before you do, hey, superfood parents, how are you doing? We here in the ladies' room on tonight. Thank you for joining us. Pastor Rose is going to tap in right now. We're talking about mother-daughter relationships. Am I my mother? Have I turned into my mother? Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it is natural. I think it's something that is it's just generational. Culture is a very strong thing, but genetics is even stronger than culture. So, you know, I noticed that at certain times, my children look just like their father. So profile, that's genetics, so those are things that you really can't change. You can't even factor that this is going to happen. I tend to look more like my dad than I look like my mother, based on the pictures that I've seen. Because as Dawn said, my mother passed before I was a year old, so I have zero memory. personal memories. What I do have is are vivid memories that I try to, bring alive in my own life, from what her siblings and my grandparents had shared. Um, am I my mother? It's not a bad thing. It really isn't a bad thing because we're talking about carrying on the generations, and traditional values and morals. The southern cultural thing is something that is just innate for me. I will just never get rid of it. It's just a part of who I am because it's my training, and I adapted to it. But your children look like you, and you want them to act like you and look like you and act like you in a lot of respects. And the reason why is because these are things that we've learned. We've learned from experience. So you want your child to adapt that. And when they don't, it's kind of discouraging. I mean, we had a conversation, if I could say this, the other day when my grandson was in between two jobs. And I was saying, okay, Jay, now you got the full-time job, which is what you wanted. And yet you're still on the books for two more days. And so that to me said, you need this money to get to work because it's going to take you 2 weeks to get paid. And he had all kinds of excuses and everything because he didn't really want to go to the job. I mean, I get it. I'm leaving, so I don't want to go back. But at the same time, what are you going to do for car fare? How are you going to get back and forth? So you're going to bleed your mother, which was something that I didn't want to see him do, but he made up all kinds of excuses and things. And the thing of it was that I've been there. I've seen this, I've had to do it myself. When I got my first job, I had no one to depend on for car fare and food, but my husband, and I mean, good thing was he worked for transit, so he didn't have to pay for car fare, and stuff like that. But still, these are things that you want to pass on to, your children, because you've experienced them, but at the time, it was like, it was no value to him at all, so that, that's just my take on it. I don't really want my children to be exactly like me because, I'm saying I'm the youngest of four, and each of us have different personalities. And I glean certain things from my older sisters. And that helped me to make up my mind about what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. And I saw a little bit of me, a little bit of that, both of them in me, but ultimately I'm absolutely opposite, absolutely different than my siblings. I mean, we have one thing in common, which was we all sang. We all had that in common, the art. But how it was expressed in us is where the variance is at. So I don't want them to be exactly like me. If I'm a kind person, I want them to be kind. If I'm a loving person, I want them to be loving. If I'm a wise person, I want them to adapt that. But I want them to be their own person because each generation is supposed to be better, stronger than the one before. So, yeah.
That was good, Mom. That was a good share. And hey, Lady Navoa, welcome to the show. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Thursday night. We're going to keep the train going. It is ladies' night. We are in the ladies' room. Normally, the Bravo squad is usually here. Everybody's vacationing or coming off their vacation as fall is coming back. Now, we're going to beef our ladies' room back up to, talk about, the real touchy subjects. But on tonight, we had to dial it back a little bit, and I wanted to bring some wisdom in and talk about mother-daughter relationships. Am I my mother? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? because we have to come to a point of understanding who we are and why we are. So I brought my mom in. As y'all know, she's no stranger to Bravo with Sheila Network, the amazing Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa. Y'all know and love. I thank God for her. You know, she shared a lot of good, important information. You made a point of legacy and traditions. A lot of times, I think the expectation that we have as women. I was mentioning that when we have um, two queens in the castle, there's controversy all the time because there can only be one head. And at a certain point, we as women, as young ladies, we get to that point where we don't want to sit underneath our mothers anymore. We want to be able to take what we've learned or what they've taught us and go express it in our own way. You know, we have to take the nuggets that we're given. And I think sometimes what breaches mother-daughter relationships is women, you know, we are territorial, men are too. We are territorial. We are very protective, and and in that, sometimes we can rub each other, you know, the wrong way. Superfood Parent says, I want my kids to be just like me when I'm feeling good about myself. Then I start cutting up and rethink things. I get real honest with myself. Amen to that. I can totally agree. I promise you. My son is 21. And as he's grown up, when he was little, I mean, my son, oh, Jesus, help us. He's about 9 people in one from birth, but literally from the womb. And when he came out, and I have always felt the only time you can control your children is when they are in your womb. The minute you push them out, they are their own person, their own individual. They're gonna do their own thing. And he surely proved that theory right. I feel you, superfoods. I do. I absolutely do, because I saw things in my son. He'll act one way 1 minute, and I'll be like, "Ooh, that's not me. Where we get that from? I don't even know how to manage that." I'm like, "Ooh, that's my brother," or "Oh, that's my other brother," or "Ooh, that's my sister," or "Oh, that's his father." And I'll be looking for me, and I couldn't find me. Well, now that he's gotten a little bit older, I see me a whole lot more. So I understand what you're saying. I wanted him to be like me, but the error was I didn't say what ways of mine that I want him to be like. So he's picked up a lot of stuff. He's you know, he has a sarcastic humor like his mama. Um, he's very calm, mild mannered. You know, we're like low key, but like high energy on the inside. You know, we go a little, so you know, he's a little special. Um, but it's funny in the relationship, in the building of relationships between mothers and daughters. Sometimes you find that, you know, again, I said I was blessed to have a great, I am blessed still to have a great relationship with my mother. My mother lives with me now. I've lived with her, well, naturally, because I was a child, but I mean, as adults, we've grown up, you know, and we have a respect for each other, not just as mother and daughter, but as women and as people. And I can say she respects the woman that I am. I remember one day I was on the phone, I was just in a car with me, and we were talking. I was talking to one of my girlfriends on the phone. Excuse me. And when we got off the phone, my mother looked at me, and I was like, what? Like, she looked at me straight. I'm like, why are you looking at me? What's the matter? She said, I didn't even realize, like, for the first time, she saw me as someone other than her daughter. Like, she saw me, you remember, mom? She saw me as Dawn. She was like, you're a whole woman. I was like, yes, mom. But I know that there are things, as much as I've learned from her, I know that there are still things that she would like for me to emulate that, like that I don't, or that I do a different way, you know. And I think as children and as parents, one key factor in creating a tight relationship where respect is always in place is that we execute grace. We have to give grace, because, you know, like my mom said, you know, she gets disappointed when she sees, I believe she said, that we are not, you know, certain things we don't do like she does, or the way she would want us to, or in that manner. Well, I don't want her to, and that disappointment happens to a lot of parents, and we become frustrated. And again, me being a parent, I get really frustrated because I don't see my son doing the way I was doing, you know. And I know my mom gets frustrated with me in the same vein. Um, because she doesn't always see me doing things in the way that she would do them. And if you don't apply that grace, and if you don't give people the space to be who they are, we can often say, we want you to be who you are, but then we don't give the person the space to be who they are. And that happens in a lot of mother-daughter relationships, and it breaks them down. It happens in fathers and sons too. But so tonight we're talking about the ladies because we're in the ladies' room, and we want to better those relationships. We all need like I said before, with the Bible, with a Naomi Ruth type relationship where she basically mentored her, she taught her, she showed her what she needed to do to carry herself, how to carry herself in a way that would cause her to be noticed by a particular type of person. This is what you do. A lot of us women, when we're growing up, we don't want to listen to our mothers. We don't want to hear what they have to say. I don't know why we as children develop this. Now, we just got here but a minute ago. I tell my son all the time when he starts getting a little beside himself. I had to tell him the other day, he said, I asked him something. He responded in some kind of way where his tone did not set right with me. So I had to tell him, excuse me, my friend, I need you to dial that back. I need you to, like regroup yourself, because in a minute you're going to meet Dawn. It ain't going to be mommy, and he did that. But I have to give him the grace to be who he is, even if it's not being executed in the way that I want it to be executed. I can't tell him be who you are and then get mad when he is who he is, because it doesn't match up with what I want. Superfood Parent says we're always children to our parents, even when they see us as adults. It's a gift to be someone's child. Amen. I agree. I wish I had a bell because I would ring it. It is a gift to be someone's child. But we get to this place, and especially with women, we get to the point where I think, what's the saying? We act like, our stuff don't stink. Is that what they say? Old school. We get to the place where I was saying, like, I'm in my mid-50s, and my son just got here. He's 21. And I have to remind him sometimes when I'm trying to tell him something and he doesn't want to listen. And then he'll try to tell me, and I'll be like, sir, let me tell you something. You just got here. I don't even know you that well. Okay. I've only known you for 21 years. You ain't put enough time yet to tell me what to do, but we as women, we get like that with our mothers when they are trying to speak wisdom into our lives. And I wonder sometimes how much better would we be? How much further would we be if we took the time to listen? It doesn't cost us anything to listen. It doesn't hurt us to listen. A matter of fact, we would benefit and we would grow from their knowledge and their wisdom. We start to think that they haven't been through anything and they've never done anything. And the truth of the matter is they've already lived what we're trying to live through, and I find that with women, again, it's just, it is something innate in us that we are, I think we're naturally combative in a different way than men are. So we have to be mindful. Again, we have to insert that space of grace in order for us to maintain good and healthy relationships, because you only get one mother. You only get one mother. And mothers, I don't care how many children you have, each one of them is different and unique. And we want to make sure that we are healing, that we are leaving space for relationships to grow, to shift, to change. We have to have the capacity to change them. Some things I know my mom is not going to change on. That's just how she is. And I don't want her to change. Sometimes we do butt heads. We don't agree. We don't always talk it out, but we know. So we will just kind of, stroll off silently. But Mom, share if you could, I don't have any daughters, so I don't know what that's like, but share if you could, how was it for you raising two daughters who were the same in, I was going to say same in their core ways, but me and my sister, we have some things that are in common, but we are absolutely two totally different people, what is one of the key things that what advice could you give to a mother with daughters who's trying to maintain the relationship with them? And even as we go through the different stages of life, what advice or nuggets could you give to them that helps you to build and maintain that relationship with them in a way that we're able to receive from you?
Well, my two daughters are very different. They're the same, but they're different. And that being the case, you recognize this initially, I mean, even in the womb, um, you get to know your child. The key to that for me was um, just being attentive, being attentive. There were certain normal things that went on. I didn't keep a record. But I knew, you have to pay attention. I made a mental note. And for me, see, it was a little different because not having a mother, I didn't know what, to do. I mean, I had role models. I had, maternal role models and everything. But I had no role model that, in growing up as a child, in the home. I had a stepmother, but she had no children, so she didn't know how to, she did, basic housework things, but sitting down and trying to talk to your daughter about the different developmental things that, we go through. She didn't really know how to explain that because she had no children. So for me, it was honestly in trial and error. I had 5 things for each thing that, my kids went through. And I was like, okay, let me see if this works, this works. So when I finally got to the thing that worked, I was like, okay, this is true for her. This is true for her, but remember too, I got married when I was 18. So by the time, I think I was 25 when I had my last child. You'd like 25. It's like 25 years difference between Dawn and myself. So I was, young myself. So I had the brain power, to apply. You have the time, you have the age, you have the energy, mentally and everything else, to say, okay, let me try this, let me try that, let me see what happens. But I knew my children. And so I knew, and then they taught me who they were too, so same with the girls. They were, you guys were basically the same, but you were different. Des a little more, was more stronger in character and, wanting her way. You were total opposite. Absolutely submissive. You'd be like, no, I don't want none of that. No, I'm just gonna sit over here, because I saw what happened to the other ones.
Yeah, it was fear.
Right. She was the brazen one. I'm gonna try this. She tried stuff that the boys didn't even try.
I wasn't gonna get beat. I didn't like how it looked on the
Right?
others before.
So it was either one or two things with her at times. You were either gonna hang her or you were just gonna let her, let's just walk through this. And so I got hit a lot as growing up. So I didn't want to, like beat on my kids. When it came to the boys, with a whole different story. You had to beat them, but as far as with my girls, I felt like, let's reason, because you want them to grow up to be ladies. You want them to grow up to be feminine. You want them to grow up to be, women equality. So you try to see how, what to do, what approach to use with this one, and what approach to use with that one. So I think for me, I just studied my children and understood, which approach to use, which was, and I think my children thought I was so passive but
No.
that wasn't it. I was very patient.
We
Very
didn't.
patient,
We didn't think you were passive.
and then, but at the ninth hour, You
Yeah,
know,
there's another
I had
side.
had enough. You know, I had had enough, and this was it. But there's something that you said earlier about two women being in the same house. I went through this with my mother-in-law. God bless her, bless her soul. She's gone on home, but she was young herself, and I was young, and my husband had gone through some of his juvenile experiences, and she had just rescued him out of a lot of, you know, his changes and things. And then here I came along, and it got to be, you know, a competitive thing. So when we did get married, we lived with her for a while. I tried to do everything to make everything, you know, comfortable for her. When she'd come home from work, she didn't have to cook. The house was clean. You know, I washed the dishes and whatnot. But she didn't see it in that way. She saw it in a competitive sense. So now, you know, when I'm in my daughter's homes, this is their homes, and I try to, you know, respect the way that they run their homes, even if I don't agree with it, you know. And I have to say to myself, okay, this is not little Dawn. This is Dawn, the woman, and her son. And so, you know, if you don't like something, you know, and you know that it's not the time to say it, just go in the room, you know, or put your headphones on or something or other to, you know, to that degree. You know, I look for the moment when I can make the suggestion. I've learned that it is, let me suggest, you know, let's, you know, exchange ideas or whatever and see how and see how it's going to work. That's my advice to um any mother.
Can I jump in on that point right there? As you said, you know, finding the right spot. Once you, as a mother, once you're acknowledging like your daughters, your are not your little babies anymore, but they are their own grown individuals. Um, and that point of finding the right spot to insert what, for lack of a better term, maybe your opinion, because they may be doing or we may be doing something in a way that you did not do it, or you might say, you know, well, we were raised, you know, you I raised you to do this way. And when you see us doing it opposite, sometimes parents can think that it's wrong, and feel the need to correct, you know, the adult. And I feel that with women, again, we are developing. No woman wants another woman to tell them how to be a woman, you know. But at the same time, we all as females need, you know, a mother. Now everybody's mother daughter relationship is not like ours, and I understand that. You know, there are some that maybe you don't get along, you know, at all. You're like oil and water, you know. That could be the problem situation. Um and I think in those situations, it's like, how do we help people get to that place of being on the same page? You know, I'm still, and I'm sorry, I still kind of laughing on the inside at our superfood parents comment about, I want my kids to be just like me when I'm feeling good about myself. Then I start cutting up and rethink things, and I get real honest with myself. That just tickles me pink. That's my comment of the night. Um, you know, because it's really true. It's really, really true. And I think sometimes in those relationships, we cannot lord over our adult children. And I think we have to learn how to let go of the reins. Even though we may have an opinion about something, we don't always have to express that opinion about it, you know, about how they're doing what they're doing. For me, I feel like as long as you're not harming yourself, you know, listen, have at it. I can feel how I feel, because we all receive and exercise things differently, you know. And there may be something as a parent that we thought that we've done, or we've taught our kids in such an excellent way, that to them they don't perceive as being the most excellent way, you know. One thing I learned with my son when he was in therapy, I when I get up in the morning, I get dressed a certain way. My son has ADHD. He does things a whole different kind of way. Didn't understand it, and I'm very like OCD. I'm systematic. Everything is. He's completely all over the place. And while we were in therapy, I would, point that I made was just very frustrating to me in the morning because I feel like he's not being productive. And the therapist had to ask me, and this is going to lend to my point. She said, "Is he dressed though by the time you're ready to go?" I said, "Sort of, close to it." And she said, "Okay, so what is the problem? Is the issue that he's not doing it at all, or is the issue he's not doing it your way?" And I really had to take a humble pill at that point. And she said, "Because your goal is for him to get it done. You don't have to micromanage how he gets it done." And I think that in the mother-daughter relationships, this is what happens too. We're reacting out of our experiences. We are still holding on to what we've learned or what we've experienced, what we've gone through, and therefore we kind of inject that onto our daughters. Sometimes in a productive way, and then sometimes it's in a counterproductive way. I want to pause for a second. Superfood Parent says, "Parenting is trial and error, no matter what it seems. Patience is a virtue. I still don't have much of. Patience is a virtue I still don't have much of, but it sounds like it served you well." Patience, I will honestly say, um, I I always get confused. I either have patience or tolerance. I've been told, and my mom says if I got it right. My sister is, I think, patient. I no, I don't. Okay, that's it. I have tolerance. I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel like I have either, but but I'll take it. I don't know, but I'm learning patience more. I'm learning to be more patient. I do. I have tolerance to a degree. And sometimes, yeah, there's different situations, but I just think that we have to, that was a lesson, like I was saying, with therapists that really humbled me in a lot of ways. And I feel that we, especially when it comes to us women, again, because we are so sensitive, just by nature, that we have to, it can come across, it can be heard in a negative as opposed to a positive. So we have to be mindful of how we are expressing our thoughts and our opinions, and we have to allow people to walk it out. It may not be the way we want it to be, because what a young lady could hear her mother saying is, "You don't do anything right," when all you may be trying to do is get her to see a better way of doing it. So sometimes as the parent, we have to just bite our tongue and keep our opinion to ourselves, maybe get an opinion journal. I don't know, write it down somewhere so you can get it off your chest, but everything we think doesn't have to be said, because sometimes once a person is in that space, and again, especially us as women, we are set. I know I'm stubborn, I'm set in my ways. And when I hear something one way, it takes a bit for me to unhear it and reverse my thinking, and I think that that does a lot of damage in the mother-daughter relationship, because daughters want their mothers to approve of their choices. You want the support of your mother in the choices that you make as you are becoming the woman that you're becoming. Go ahead, Ma. You want to jump in?
I was going to say, the thing that works well in that issue for me is being a counselor and being a minister and having a passion. I have a women's ministry, and I have certain gifts, God-given gifts, and one of which is to listen. And I thank God for the education that I've earned, because it taught me there's just certain things that's innate that I didn't know how to put the word to it, and I realized that I had those qualities inside. It just needed to bring them out. But I want to say this, that there's one word that we need to just remember, which is love. A mother loves her children. So she will, we shouldn't, let me put it that way. We should not speak in a way to our children that is going to tear the child or bruise the child or cause the child to be broken. When I speak
Well, with
something
that
to
being
you.
said, just to partner with that,
Mhm,
we also as children have to be willing to hear
mhm.
even the things that we don't want to hear, because you may not be saying it in a manner
Right.
that comes off unloving, but
Mhm,
because of our sensitivities, and again, we as women, we
mhm,
don't like to be challenged, especially not by another woman.
mhm,
And as we are becoming, and we're developing, it's a very sensitive area and space and place. you know um I mean, ladies, jump in, share, what do you feel? What is your relationship with, like, with your mother, if they're still with you? Did you find struggles in the mother-daughter relationship? Was it a challenge? Do you find yourself becoming like your mother? Whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, we want to hear from you too. I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead. Continue.
Right. I'm saying, given that, you know, uh, that a mother loves her child, even when she speaks rough, I mean, her intentions are to teach, but I think we do need, I think we do need instructions. I mean, children do come with instructions, and whether we want to regard those instructions or not, God has already told us how to raise our children. A lot of people do, are not, faith followers, so, but I mean, I'm just saying, children do come here, life comes with instructions. We choose to use them and we choose not to. Um, Now, my rearing my sons was a whole lot harsher than raising my daughters. I mean, for a whole lot of reasons, But um, you have to
My brothers were
honestly.
crazy, y'all. Just plumb straight
Mm,
out the stomach crazy.
Jesus, but um, as someone said, it's an ongoing thing. It's ongoing. You never cease to be a parent, even when your children are grown. You never cease to be a parent. It's the degree of nurturing that you do, that you're doing. It crosses over into a friendship. For me, I remember when your dad and I decided to go our separate ways. And I said, listen, I cannot be both mother and father, but what I can do is I could be the best mom and the best friend that I could be, and I mean, the thing is that you didn't want that deficit to be there in your child's life. But when divorce comes or a single parent comes, what can you do? It's there, so you just try to give the child all that you can give the child and pray that the other parent is going to be there and loves the child as much, to help them to be as whole as possible. But it's not rocket science. You just have to remember when you were this age, when I remember when I was 50 something, and I remembered when I was 40 something, and I remembered being 30 something and 20 something and being so misunderstood, and having what you were doing to be misunderstood. As I said, with your grandmother, she thought, oh, I was trying to compete. I wasn't. I was trying to make life, make things better for her, but she had an order against me. I married her son.
See,
So.
yeah, that's another issue, another issue of another dynamic when it
Mhm,
comes to mothers and daughters. When you
mhm,
start getting into that daughter-in-law, mother-in-law relationship, because yeah, they feel like you took their son away, um, which creates a whole nother issue.
mhm.
Because I kind of, I've been married more than once, and I experienced that
Yeah,
in one of my marriages.
I both.
Um, I didn't have it in the first one. The first one was like, it was cool. And the second one, my mother-in-law loves me. I love her, but I know that there were places in her that just felt like I was, taking her son away. Um, and so yeah, that's a whole nother dynamic. I think it takes a lot of understanding and knowing of one another. You said that you remember, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Mhm.
you said you remember what it's like to be in your mid 50s. I'll be 54 in a few months, and you remember what that's like.
Right.
And I think even with that, with us remembering what it may have been like for you, um, is important, but yet and still these times are so different from when you
Mhm.
were, it's just the way life starts changing. I want to read another comment. Superfood Parent says, stubborn is my middle name. And when it comes to me trying to enforce my preferences on my daughters, I'll have to give more love. Yeah, you gotta lead with love. You gotta lead it
Yeah.
out with love. It is
You don't
important.
have to agree.
And understanding
Mhm.
and
You don't have
patience.
to agree.
Yeah, right. You don't have to agree. You
Mhm.
don't have to agree at all. Um, it is just really important that we take that time. Be open minded. I kind of think you have to. I try to teach my son. One important thing is do unto others that you would have them like you would have them do unto you. The Bible says, treat people the way that you want to be treated. It doesn't matter what age, what space, what time, whatever it is, but think about how you would want how you want to be treated in these situations. How do you want to be addressed? How do you want to be understood? Is really, really important that we execute that before we expect it, because people are going to respond to us. I know for myself, I respond in the manner which you approach me.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of discipline for me to do otherwise. I don't always pass that test, but and with mothers and daughters, we have to maintain a level of respect, for one another. And Nay says, my mom and I have respect for our differences. I'm overprotective. Yes, ma'am.
And you have to remember to it's the relationship, sometimes I mean all the time you have to allow a person that right to go through what they decide to go through. You share what you see or what you feel, or sometimes God will show me things, and I'll express it. Listen, so I've given you what he gave me.
Hmm.
So now you do with that what you choose to do, and that's really, you just really have to respect the fact that people have opinions, they have decisions, they have choices, and they're not going to make the same choices
Right.
that you made. Our responsibility as parents is to find out everything we possibly can between the pregnancy and 21. And at 21, I've taught you all that
Child, I'm
I
tired.
am responsible
I'm
to
tired.
teach you, to develop you. You
TYRD.
have gone through
Tired.
all of those stages of child development, okay? All of those stages. It's done. Nothing else to, now at this point you have to manifest it, and again, like you said, sometimes you hear things a different way.
Right.
But
So
see, knowing that is what solves the whole problem.
it took me a long time
I
to
know I
get there.
don't hear right.
It took me. It's not just not right. It's just not what you said. Just it's the way I felt. But like you said, and like Renee has said, I mean, I love what she said, that my mom and I have respect for our differences.
Right, right.
That is key. Respecting each other's differences, because that can save your relationship,
Yeah.
because it speaks to expectation, and we have to have a realistic expectation of one another. No one changes overnight.
Mhm.
Even if you're saying, And again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for tuning in on this Thursday night. It's your Thursday night host, Lady Dawn B, here in the ladies' room. We decided to dial it back and slow it down a little bit. Wanted to talk about mother-daughter relationship. Am I turning into my mother? Am I my mother? Is that good? Is that bad? Does it make a difference? I feel like this is very important. We as women, as we develop, because we need to understand ourselves. And sometimes the way we react to our mothers, we need to be mindful because our children, now when our children start responding to us,
Right.
how we respond to our mothers, we can't get upset. We can't, just like, you got to take it the same way you dish it,
Yeah.
with that same level of understanding. And that's what I like said with, what they said, talking about respecting the differences. It's the expectation that you may have an expectation that I'm going to be just like you, or I'm going to do this way, but you respect the fact that I don't and that I'm not. And I'm sure that makes the relationship a whole lot easier to manage because when we don't, it makes it, sometimes it comes off sounding like you're telling this grown woman who is doing things the way that is support is productive for her, that her way is wrong.
Mhm.
And no one wants to be around someone who is constantly picking at what they're doing because they feel that they're not doing it the way that they feel they should. We have to honor and respect those differences. And they says I'm overprotective. I know I am. I know I'm over, when I love, my mother just said it to me the other day. It's like about me. My problem is when I love somebody, I love hard. I don't know any other way. It's just what it is. So, and I'm very protective over the people and the things that I love. But I feel like when you value the person and the relationship, you are willing to find a place, a medium, a happy medium where you can um, come to some agreement.
Well, I think
Hmm.
the danger in that is when the unconditional love, when you just let it flow. It may sound a little contradictory, whatever, but with your family, it's different because these are people that solid people are in your life. You know what I'm
But
saying?
what about when they're not?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I realized that my father was not perfect. I realized my dad was not perfect. But I realized that I loved my father because he was my father, you know? And the love that I had for my father did not match the person that my father was. But he was my father, and that's my love was unconditional. And when it comes to your friends, comes to our friends, this is just me. When it comes to my friends and let's say a personal, intimate relationship or whatever, I'm not going to invest 100% into you if I don't see that it's received
Hmm.
or that it's even the thing that's applicable to do. Because the Bible tells us, feed not pearls to swine. You could be just loving this person because this is your intimate person, but they're not. You understand what I'm saying? They have not established the that thing, that solidity in my life for me to give you my everything. No, I'll give God my everything and give my children my everything, my grandchildren, but to I will love you unconditionally. I love people unconditionally, you know, but I'm not going to gamble my life. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Invest my life, my everything, into someone who is not going to return that to me because
Absolutely. I mean, and that's
Mhm.
fair, and it's fair. I think when it comes to the relationship between parent and child, because that happens there too.
Right.
Sadly, with parent and child, by the time you figure that out, or by the time that you see that or come to that that realization, it's too late because you've already poured out, like when and then you're done, you know. I love Anae's comment. Anae, I think we tweeted. She said, "If I see someone disrespect my mom, I'm truly tested in the spirit. My eyebrows getting military style."
What?
Listen here,
Mhm.
listen. Listen, I think I shared with y'all once before on the platform that at my job, you know, what military style name.
Mm.
They have a whole eyebrow warning chart for me. I'm gonna take a picture of it. And what next week, Thursday, I'm gonna bring it, I'm gonna post it, I'm gonna show you. It is a whole chart that they drew
True
and put
story.
on my desk. Yes,
True
they did,
story.
to tell the people
Yeah.
if you are talking to her
Mhm.
and her eyebrows, these are the 4 stages.
Mhm.
I can't make this stuff up. So, this is telling you how your conversation is going. Consider yourself warned and proceed with caution. So I get it. I totally understand. Yes, if someone, my mother would tell you, yeah, I don't. I perceive my mom as being passive. She's very gentle. She's very mild. However, there is a total bear inside of her, and my mom is a peace woman.
Mm.
But it will come out. I've seen it a few times, never induced by me, but by others.
Mhm.
I didn't realize, I always said I felt like my sister was more like my mom. She's taking on my mother's, like her gentle nature. Now, looking at us, you would think it was the opposite. You would think my sister is the mean one and I'm the sweet one, or my sister's the quick trigger and I was the crockpot. It's actually the opposite. I'm the quick trigger and my sister's the crockpot. My mother had an issue. She went to pick up some glasses one day, and I dropped her off. And I was waiting downstairs, and the woman was giving her a really hard time, like a really hard time. And I'm team thicker than a snicker, big girl on duty. So she was upstairs. The woman was giving her a hard time. It speaks to disrespect. So my mother called me to tell me she was having probably she had been up there for a while and whatnot. And I said, okay, so what's happening, mom? And I also do customer service. I'm a supervisor for customer relations, so I understand, you know, the language. So the woman was just being unkind, and my mother, in her gentle nature, was just kind of letting it happen. I said, okay. You need me to come upstairs? She said, no, 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 not at all. Nope. I said, okay. Call me back. She called me back, still no results. I said, please give her the phone. Please give her the phone. Ma'am, let me explain this to you. Because having someone disrespect my mother, like there's no holds barred. It's just not. And this is where I found out that I thought I was quick tempered like my dad, but I found out that this is where I'm really like my mother. Because I ended up going upstairs and talking to the lady in her face. But I wasn't yelling. I didn't raise my voice. I just calmly told her what she was going to do and explained to her, this is my mother that you're dealing with. So, in order to keep me out of jail and you out of the hospital, please give my mother what she needs so we can all have a great rest of the day. So I understand exactly where you're coming from, Ine. But again, on my job, my eyebrows, yeah, it's a whole system going on. But this is what happens, we love hard and we have to. Again, we only get one mother. We only have one mom. You're not ever going to get another one. And it's so important that we do what's necessary. It's funny how the relationships change where the child becomes the parent. And I feel like for me and my mom, that's the stage that we're kind of in right now. Yeah, I become the boss and she becomes, the hiree or the employee, however you want to look at it, but we're still respect.
Mhm.
And I love that she's able to trust how she raised me, that when I'm saying something to her, she receives it and she won't like push back and pull rank and I'm your mother and like we don't have those kind of arguments and debates. But it's just very important that we um, maintain open and honest, safe communication with our mothers. They're the only, especially us as women, us daughters.
Right.
because we will carry on, their persona. There's always, I want to say, glimpses of them in us,
Mhm.
that will live on well past the time that they will. And part of their lineage, part of their heritage is who we are as women and as ladies, So I don't think it's a bad thing. We have to be able to pull the principles our mothers are
Mhm.
teaching us
Mhm.
and apply them to our lives in a way that is going to be productive for us. So, like I said, on tonight's ladies' room, we just having a brief conversation about mother and daughter relationships, and we hope something that has been said on tonight. We wanted it to be edifying. We wanted to share some nuggets, some wisdom, and how y'all see us here is how we are. I try to behave myself when I'm on, because I don't know if y'all can take me really if I just be my whole self. So
Mhm.
I try to behave with some decorum, act like I have some sense. But I love everything that has been shared on tonight. Superfood parents, I'm telling you, you have made my night. That whole, comment about when you look back, when you think about when you start cutting up and how you see your kids, then you got to take a second. That's my comment of the night. I love it and I love it. Um, and stubbornness, the middle name. I am stubborn and I get it. Yes, we have to deal with our children with more love if we want them to embrace who we are and what we are trying to share with them so that they can go on and live productive and blessed lives. I love again what they said about having the respect for our differences.
Mhm.
And when they said these conversations feel like we're in the living room talking as family, that's how we want it to be, exactly how we want it to be. And you are. You are family, and you are in our living room. You are literally behind mom. That's my living room. I
Right.
really live there. Y'all are welcome. Pull up a seat on the couch.
Mhm.
But I love having these intimate conversations again, where we can have real conversation
Right.
with real resolutions. So I want to give my mom space to share her final thoughts, give maybe a nugget for the people to walk away with, and then I'm going to come back with my final comment. And if you want to leave your final comment, guys, please put it in the chat. I'm always so thankful and appreciative that you guys are here, loving on us and letting us love on you. Mom, go ahead. I'm in your mic.
Well, I think one of the best things that ever happened to in my life was becoming a mother. Um, I know it was one of the best things because I kind of walked through my mother's life, and uh, if you understand what I'm saying, her not being here, it enabled me to walk, to see her, walking through me, and it gave me gave me that visual, and um, it's such a meaningful thing. And when you look at a child and you realize the responsibility that you have to nurture and raise a child, and that's really how I raise my children. I raised my children looking at their future. Um, when Dawn was a baby, she younger, she would pronounce her words a certain way. I mean, aside from the fact being a writer and English being my best subject, it just didn't. I just couldn't let her pronounce the word a certain way, and I'd had to correct her and say, "No, this is the way this is said," and I'd work
I
with
was
her until she
abused. I was
until
abused.
she got it right.
So,
So, that point is that
the
the
way
way
you
you
raise
raise your
children,
children,
you
you're
produce
producing something, you're
producing
producing
life,
life,
and you
and you
want,
want,
you know,
and so
when they
when they
get
get
older,
older,
you
you're going to
going
see
to see
what you
what you
failed to do,
failed to
what you
do,
didn't, if you want to give up and say, I don't want to do, I don't want to be bothered or whatever, that's what you're going to see when your children grow up. And I didn't want to see that with my children. My advice is
love
love is
the
the
best
best
medicine.
medicine. It is the best medicine because we will make a lot of mistakes because mistakes were made when we were growing up. But we bring things into our children and our family lives that was an environment that we lived in, right or wrong, until we learn differently, we're going to reproduce, continue to procreate that behavior. So not that we are perfect, but I just feel like get the information, get the information, get the information. Like I said, when I went to school, it was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, aside from giving my life to God, because a whole other world opened up to me. We don't know everything. So that's it for me.
Thank you for that amazing share, Mom. I would just say, first of all, thank you, Mommy, for coming on and for having this conversation with me. Thank you for sharing. We are, as you guys can see, she is my mother. Yes, I am the last of her four, literally. Um, her four children, I shut it up, I shut it down. She probably struck gold. No, I'm kidding. My brothers and sisters are awesome. Um, but I appreciate you coming and sharing in this space with me and allowing us to share our private and personal real life, um, journey. And again, I would say, above all, grace. Insert grace in the middle. Insert grace in everything that you do. Especially in the mother-daughter relationship, it is so very important because our relationships with our mothers, believe it or not, affect every other relationship that we have. Um, it teaches us how to coexist with other women. Whether we agree or disagree, it teaches us how to stand strong as women, even if your mother is not the perfect example, even if your relationship is broken or jaded. It still helps for you to take what you can from whatever that experience is and either use it as history to be better, but just don't use it as history to repeat itself. Love on your mom if she's still here. If she's not here, honor her. Find a way, find something to honor her. Hold on to the good things that you have and just do what's necessary to build that stronger relationship with your mother. We are not in competition with one another, but we are in concert with one another. And I'm leaving Anae's comment up to end it because I love it. Like she said, these conversations feel like we are in the living room talking as family, and that is what we want. And we want to create such a safe environment for us to talk and share and be transparent. We want to have real conversation with real resolution. So we hope that something we've said on tonight in this dialing it back in the ladies' room and having this one-on-one conversation has been edifying, has been helpful, has been a blessing, and is going to help you again strengthen your relationship with your mom as well as with yourself. I thank you all for joining us. You all know how it is. Like, subscribe, and share. Hope that you will prepare. Fall is here. We should be on the roll. We should be good from now on and going. My technological issues, I believe, have been worked out. So we'll be good to go and keep it moving on Thursday nights with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. I'm looking forward to next Thursday. Don't worry, men. We didn't forget about you. The men's lounge is coming up within, if not this Thursday, it'll be next Thursday. Look for the post. I'm just rounding the men together and again pulling in who my family. Y'all know who I'm gonna have on with the men's lounge. He's no stranger here. He's been here before. My big brother, Minister Donald, is coming on. He is back, and he's gonna bring some of his male friends into the men's lounge so that they can talk. We're gonna yield the mic, and ladies, we're gonna lean and we're yielding the mic to the men, and we're gonna lean in. I thank you guys so much for being on with us tonight. Appreciate you. I pray that you find the peace, the love, the joy that you need. And Anae and my number one bravette, Lady Navoa, Superfoods, we love you all. and there's nothing you can do about it. Actually, we love you, and the only thing that you can do about it is love us back. All right, y'all. Have a great Thursday night and have an amazing rest of your week. Be safe on the weekend, and we will see you again next Thursday. I'm your girl, Lady Dawn B. Good night. Love you.